me just bring you a bit of breaking news, which may be of interest to some of you. It's about puberty blockers. Now, these are drugs that are used to delay the changes of puberty in transgender youngsters. In terms of how they are prescribed by the NHS, there has been a lot of controversy over the last few years about this. At the moment, they are only prescribed to children attending gender identity services as part of clinical research, and they are not routinely offered to children at gender identity clinics, but they are still offered. Well, the government, NHS England, has just confirmed that children will no longer be prescribed puberty blockers at gender identity clinics.
You know what, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time in what seems like a very long time I can sit here and say to you guys, common sense prevails. It almost feels weird even just saying that given the state we're in right now, but with the topic I'm going to be talking about, the algorithm, as you would imagine, would deem it very controversial. So just to counter that, if you could, make sure to leave a like rating, comment on this video, share this video, and watch for as long as possible. But it was announced yesterday, NHS England will no longer prescribe puberty blockers to children. Yes, this is a step in the right direction in putting the welfare, the well-being of kids ahead of this madness we've got going on right now. The fact children are allowed to have these things in the very first place is just absolutely disgraceful. But the Daily Mail go on to report, children will not be prescribed puberty blockers. Landmark NHS ruling is in the best interests of kids after warnings on dangers of powerful drugs. Children will no longer be prescribed puberty blockers at gender identity clinics, NHS bosses announced today. Ministers hailed the landmark ruling, arguing it would help ensure care is based on evidence and is in the best interests of the child. The powerful body-altering hormones, which can permanently weaken bones, will now only be available to children as part of clinical research trials. Puberty blockers are, however, still available prescribed privately off-label by some medics at non-NHS based gender clinics. Yeah, and those are the couple of downsides to this news. Kids will still be allowed to get these things as part of clinical research trials. I'm not too sure how that's going to work. And then obviously private clinics, I mean, let's just be real right now, they should be banned altogether for children. We as a society should not be putting kids through this just to reaffirm how they feel because, for example, they've been indoctrinated by social media, schools, parents, because that does happen. Kids shouldn't even know about these things. They should be kept far away from it. Former Prime Minister Liz Truss welcomed the move and urged the government to back her own amendment to widen the ban to private clinics. Known medically as gonadotropin, I hope I got that right, definitely didn't, releasing hormone analogues, puberty blockers stop the physical changes of puberty in teens questioning their gender. For example, they halt the development of in girls and facial hair in boys. Testosterone helps those born female put on muscle and gives them body hair, while estrogen promotes the growth of tissue in those born male. NHS England's ruling comes just months after a public consultation on the issue. It also follows a damning 2020 review of gender identity services for children under 18 by renowned paediatrician Dr. Hilary Cass. The report prompted the looming closure of a controversial gender identity development service at Tavistock and Portman NHS Trust in England. Former staff said it was fast-tracking vulnerable teenagers into irreversible treatment. Inspectors rated it inadequate, and the landmark review by Dr. Cass warned it was struggling to cope with soaring demand. Groups such as Mermaids and Guys, who support transgender people and their families, have claimed that delaying a young transgender person's access to hormone blockers may increase their risk of ending their lives. Dr. David Bell, a consultant psychiatrist and Tavistock whistleblower, also said the drugs cause considerable damage. A rising number of detransitioners who regret having the irreversible procedure have also come forward in recent months and claim they were not challenged enough as children. Yeah, look, we obviously have a lot of woke people in these industries who have done a lot of damage, and they don't care about the welfare, the well-being of kids. They're serving their own selfish agendas, and they want to continue to push these agendas for XYZ reasons. But in some capacity, common sense is returning. I mean, who would have thought England would do something like this, right? The culture war we're in right now does get downplayed quite a lot, but I do think it's one of the most important things in our lifetime because, you know, society and, again, the welfare, the well-being of kids is at stake here. And again, this is a step in the right direction. It needs to keep on going, and it's positive action against what we see going on right now. And, you know, of course, there are going to be woke activists out there who are very angry, very upset, frustrated that, you know, kids won't be able to get these puberty blockers from NHS England, you know, these drugs that are having long-lasting impacts on them. Yeah, that just tells you all you need to know about those people. They're also caught up in their ideologies, their agendas. They don't see the harm this is causing, and I'm sure there are some people out there who do see the harm this is causing, but they don't care, because as long as it's a part of this woke liberal agenda, well then, it must continue. But I want to play this clip now from Vivek Ramaswamy, who has reacted to this news coming out of England. He gives an American perspective on it all, and as we know, it's a big issue going on over there as well. Take a watch.
England just banned puberty blockers for all children, all minors, putting an end to a lot of the gender-affirming care and transition therapy that kids are undergoing when they transition from one gender to another. This happens on D-Trans Day, actually a new day created to commemorate the transition, particularly of children from one gender to another who regret it and later in life try to detransition, even though in many instances they'll never be the same again. And many of them, two young women like Chloe and Katie, who I met earlier on the campaign trail, have actually expressed their regrets in a way that at least warns other kids to prevent them from making some of those same decisions. I bring this up because there's an angle to this that's really different than you see in the traditional political discourse of scolding a lot of this behavior. That's not where I'm coming from today. I think we've created a dichotomy between compassion versus standing for truth. And I don't think that these two things have to be in tension. I don't think that if a kid is saying that I want to transition from one biological sex to a different gender, that it's a compassionate thing to do for a kid to affirm that kid's confusion. I don't think that's compassion. I think that's cruelty. In many instances, those kids are going through something else difficult in their lives. And we as a society have constrained ourselves to say that instead of getting to the bottom of what else is going wrong at home or at school in that kid's life and to help them with compassion, we've now surrendered to this new culture that, at least for the last several years, has obsessed over saying that we're just going to indulge that kid's delusion in many cases. And I think that that's wrong as a country. You think about the number of people who this disrespects. The same movement that said the sex of the person that you're attracted to is hardwired on the day you're born now says your own biological sex or your gender can be completely fluid over the course of your life. Those two things don't make sense at once if you're applying principles of logic. But in a certain sense, this should be offensive to people in the G or the L prong of the LGBTQIA plus movement, saying that even if you are attracted to someone of the same sex, for many of those cases, you're now recategorized as being a member of a different gender. I think it offends many in the feminist movement for years from the left who used to say that there's many ways to be a woman. A tomboy with short hair, wear the pants you want, wear what clothes you want, even if it's what's typically associated with a man, that your body type doesn't have to look a certain way and there's many ways to be a woman. Now says that no, if you want to actually have the attributes of being a woman through transition, you have to look and even have surgery to appear a certain way. So no, I don't think it's the compassionate thing to do to indulge this new movement. That's not compassion, that's cruelty. And I think compassion and truth both lead us to the same place. That, you know what, when a kid is going through a difficult period in their life, they come out and they say that, you know what, I may have some confusion about what my gender identity really is. As adults, it's up to us, as parents, as teachers, as leaders, to reach out and help that kid, but to do it in a way that doesn't affirm that confusion and create a new fiction that our society has sadly bent the knee to. It doesn't have to stay that way. And on D-Trans Day, which is a newly commemorated day this year, on a day when England has, I think, taken the correct step of putting an end to the gender transition chemical interventions through puberty blockers, it's a good chance for us to reflect on what we might have to learn here in the United States as well.
Yeah, I think it's, clear to see this issue has, gotten out of hand and we need some control on it. And he says a lot of things there that really do make you think, instead of getting to the real issue, the real problem as to why a child feels a certain way, there are people out there who instantly want to push these children down a dark road, and that is heartbreaking to think about. And who knows, hopefully this could be like a domino effect. Other countries see what NHS England are doing. This is just probably positive thinking, but they see what NHS England is doing and they follow suit. Like in America, for example, massive issue there. There's so many states out there who are as woke as you can imagine, and they're all for this stuff. But with this news, it doesn't stop here. Whilst this is good news, people need to keep on going. I don't think they can get lazy with it and think, oh, the issue is solved now, let's just, be complacent. Now, this is just the beginning. As the article says, again, kids in some capacity will still be allowed to get these things as, part of clinical research trials and private clinics, and that can't happen. So people need to keep on pushing. But leave your thoughts down below on this story. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to hear how you guys feel. I'll be checking out all the comments. If you could, again, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video, comment on this video, share this video. But until next time, until tomorrow, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.